Naomi Solison Gorse once wrote, "While no one person represented Dada, while no one meaning defined it, misogyny prevailed in a consistent way." The Dada movement was a male-dominated field, much like the rest of the art world during World War I. Female Dadas were overshadowed, undervalued at the time. We will be looking at two female Dadaists who overcame such misogyny in order to create a name for themselves within the movement. These works of art will prove the power of women in the face of artistic oppression. Both of these artists deserve the same respect and critical acclaim as their male counterparts in the Dada movement. At the same time that the Dada movement was occurring, the war was expanding the amount of women in the workforce. Women's suffrage was raging on. Debates and protests about birth control were happening. Women were ready to become first-class citizens. The changing role of women in society was an important factor for women in Dada. This first work of art is a piece by Hannah Husch, an artist from Berlin who became perhaps the most well-known female Dadaist. Husch was not taken seriously by male Dadaists at the time, despite having perfected the technique of photomontage. Hannah Husch was always interested in representing and promoting women working in the arts. This piece is Dada Puppens, or Dada Dolls, made in 1916. At the time, Husch was working for Ulstein Verlag, magazine and newspaper publishers in the handicrafts department. Here, she crocheted, knitted, and embroidered patterns. This gave her some inspiration for the Dada dolls, which were handmade female doll figures made up of yarn, fabric, thread, and beads. Husch gave the dolls breasts to be easily recognizable as female. These dolls had geometric-shaped costumes that made them appear as though they were robots. This was inspired by costumes worn by Hugo Ball in a performance at Cabaret Voltaire. A common theme within the Dada movement was the critiquing of modern technology and advancements. Some Dadaists, including Husch, believed that the technological advances of the time were turning humans into machine-like beings. This piece was a satirical work against technology of that time. Husch portrayed women in many of her works and was constantly representing women in the Dada movement. All of Husch's work is depicted from a female perspective. She was a pioneer in the Dada movement. Hannah Husch was truly an iconic female artist. The next piece we will be looking at is by Suzanne Duchamp. Suzanne Duchamp was a French Dadaist who was the younger sister of Marcel Duchamp. Clearly, she had big footsteps to follow. Suzanne Duchamp has effectively been written out of Dada history. Once again, a female Dadaist who was overshadowed by male Dadaists, including her own brother. Suzanne Duchamp was a classically trained painter, having studied at École des Beaux-Arts in Paris. Duchamp was a female painter during a time when it was incredibly hard to be taken seriously as a woman in the art world. Not only was she the sister of Marcel Duchamp, but also the wife of famous abstract artist Jean Crotti. She drew inspiration from both men, but ultimately created work that was purely her own. Duchamp and Crotti both submitted work to Salon de Independence in Paris, and both had pieces exhibited. This exhibition proved the legacy of Suzanne Duchamp. This work of art is titled Broken and Restored Multiplication, made in 1919. This work is made of oil and collage with silver paper on canvas. This piece is easily recognizable as Dada art because of its collage style and text added into the painting. Duchamp painted a silhouette of a cityscape with balloons floating over skyline behind what appears to be a chaotic display of the Eiffel Tower turned upside down. The balloons start off in bright yellows, blues, and pinks, and descend into more somber brown tones. The text involved in the painting reads things like, "The mirror would shatter," "The scaffolding would totter," "The balloons would fly away," "The stars would dim," and so on. The work was a message on the loss and destruction she felt living in France in the last year of the Great War. Great female artists have always been around. These women of Dada have recently come to light and gotten the recognition that they deserved. It only took them about 100 years. Art history will be rewritten to give credit to these women who placed stepping stones for other women in art.